can't take 5 minutes to put a plate on a scale and measure what you're putting in your plate, what you're saying is that your health isn't worth 5 minutes? I'll tell you, my health is worth 4 hours. That if it took me 4 hours to figure that out, I'd still do it. So today I thought it would be kind of cool to go over some keto basics. Hello, Wellness Warriors. Welcome to Mind Blowing Health and Wellness with Violet. Pat Chat Edition. I'm Violet.
And I'm Pat. The basic we're talking about is like net carbs versus total carbs.
One of the things that early on I did was look for professionals, so doctors, that were talking about what keto is. And the thing that I remember, Dr. Eric Westman, and what he said, what just made so much sense, was there's keto, net carb, and then there's keto, total carb. And the way he put it was very basic. If you want to be sure that you're in ketosis no matter what, do total carb.
Okay.
And his reason for that was that everybody that does 20 total that he's ever had in his office, they were in ketosis.
Okay.
Now he also mentioned, because keto really is technically 50 grams of carbs or less. So he's like putting it, like he's pushing you. It's like it's 20 grams of carb total. So this just to start, total carb is like the prescription version in his in what he says, and net carb is like over the counter.
So the first thing, you need to weigh your food. Don't like you really need to have a clear idea of a serving of like something is.
Basically, you're saying don't eyeball it.
Don't eyeball it, because like over time your mind makes the servings bigger and bigger and bigger. So something you think, oh yeah, that's about 5 grams of carbs, like can end up being 15. It happened to me like in the past, where a little bit of grain-free granola I was putting on my yogurt, for example, like I thought it was 4, then like when I measure it or weigh it, it was like 3 times the number of carbs. So total carbs, what I was about to say is you can either use an app, but also use the labels on different products. So maybe you can double check, but like, because we've seen like labels that were kind of like cheating, but the total grams of carb is basically the total amount of carbohydrates you're gonna have in a specific food.
Yeah, I think if you're using an app, you want to just be careful and double check what information the app is giving you. Because I know I use Chronometer, and it automatically gives you net. So you just want to make sure that the app is giving you what you think it's giving you.
What are net carbs is basically the subtraction of fiber out of the total carbs.
The other thing to keep in mind is that sometimes in the calculation for net carb, they're taking out sugar alcohols as well.
Oh, true.
I don't suggest doing that, because sugar alcohols actually do get metabolized by the body.
If you have a food that has sugar alcohols in it, maybe it's not the best food for you to eat on top of that, because like usually you'll have that in some kind of processed food or some keto sweets that we don't recommend. What do you say would work better? Like we know that 20 total carbs like is 100% sure you're in ketosis from the doctors, but what would you recommend to people, like, because net carbs usually allow you a little bit more veggies in your diet?
See, the thing is that when you actually do the math, and I've kind of played with it to try to see what the math comes out to. So maybe, yes, it does allow you more in the sense that I can eat more food, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have more variety. So I don't know if that's what you were trying to say, but like you can eat more food. So like if I'm doing 20 total, my plate will be smaller than if I'm doing 20 net of the same food. Because really what I've done when I did the math is like 20 net is like if you're doing 50 grams of carbs. It kind of works itself out around that, at least for the vegetables that I was eating anyways. However, what I would say is this. On the beginning of your journey, you absolutely can start with net. And the reason I'm saying that is consider what you're doing. Anything that you do that improves your health is going to help you. So at the beginning of your journey, you're going from 350 grams of carbs down to, if you do 50, if you do 20, but let's say you're going to do 20 net, you're automatically going to gain from that story. What I would suggest is that, and this was Violet's story. I did my entire weight loss journey on 20 net. I never did total because it was working. But I don't cheat. I don't go. So just keep that in mind. But I did my whole thing on 20 net. Today, I do in a day 10. Still net. I still track net. Why? Because I don't need to track total, because I rarely touch 20 to begin with.
Yeah, but you're eating less. You're less focused on vegetable than you were at the beginning of your weight loss. Like you barely eat like we still have salad for sure, but like the broccoli, all the casseroles with cabbage you used to do, like because you needed your vegetables, that seems also to go away.
I didn't need my vegetables. So hold on, let's correct what you're saying there, because you're talking about me, you're talking about me wrong. What I'm doing today that's different is that I'm not focused on food at all. I don't focus on fun in food in the same sentence. I eat because if I don't eat, I won't survive. But then I have fun other places. So when you're saying it's like I used to focus on vegetables, in the beginning, what I did was I ate what I was told to eat. Right? And I mean, what I was told to eat, what they told me was find vegetables that you like. So I took vegetables that I liked, I cooked them in ways that I liked, and I ate them. The thing I want to point out that you're kind of misquoting me on is if you actually look at what Violet was eating, what didn't look like what you see on the internet. I had a vegetable smash, I would actually call it, that it was just like, it was grated cabbage and cauliflower and like all kinds of vegetables grated up that was fried, and that was it. And it was the same bunch of vegetables every single day, or I had a salad. And as a matter of fact, at the beginning, I was having both. I was having my vegetable and my salad, because I was having 2 meals a day at the beginning. But like that crazy mash of vegetables that I was eating was not because I found a recipe. It was like, what do I think would taste delicious together? I threw them together. I threw a bunch of spice in it. It tasted good to me. And I would probably say that for at least a year, I ate that almost every day. Again, understand something about Violet. I don't care about food. I've never cared about food in that way, right? Did I eat fun things before? Sure, because I had to eat. Do I still eat fun things today? I think our Greek meal is a fun meal. I do like that meal. But at the same time, do I chase that meal? No. I know we're going to have it maybe once every 2 weeks. I'm happy when we have it. I'm equally happy on any of the other days that I'm eating whatever. Because why? Because eating food keeps me alive. Right? Like, honestly, I need people to understand that when you're looking at what I do, this is part of the reason that I don't do a lot of what do I eat in a day videos, because you would be bored. A piece of meat, a vegetable, a piece of meat, a salad. That's what Violet eats in a day. Right? So, but I will say that vegetable smash that I was eating did not go past 20 net. So however much I put on my plate, I measured it, I weighed it, and it was never past 20 net.
Well, you have to say it was a great time saver too. You hate to cook. I think by now everybody knows that. But like you just like focusing a couple hours of your weekend, like cutting, baking everything, and then you were okay for the week. Yeah. To come back like to the topic at hand. So you start with net, and as you go along, anyway, you're gonna. But you discovered over like the years that maybe vegetables are not as important as we thought they were at the beginning of our journey. Like
there's no maybe.
No, but at the beginning we didn't know that.
Okay, but you said maybe. There's no maybe. Vegetables are not necessary to eat. We eat them because they're fun.
Yeah.
No, they are. We eat them. Listen, if you don't have the condition that I have, you're eating vegetables because they're fun. I occasionally eat vegetables because I can't eat all the animal, because I can't take the iron. Anybody out there who can eat the entire animal, you're eating vegetables because they're fun. Right? And that's fine. I'm not saying that there's something wrong with that, but it's like acknowledge what you're doing. Because if I'm eating something because it's fun, do I need to have more than 20 grams of it?
My question was more like, I think at the beginning, were you aiming at 20? Like you, I remember at the beginning, like we were used to probably 300, but I think we were like trying to aim for the 20 net carbs, right? Like now you don't
from
aim
the
for
beginning.
20, like,
I was always aiming at being under 20.
But,
under 20. It didn't matter how far under. And again, because I started off listening to Dr. Westman, I was trying to eat until I was satiated. So I put something on my plate, I started to eat it, and if at halfway through I wasn't hungry anymore, I stopped eating.
Okay.
So now, again, I don't know if you ever, did you pay attention to my plate, but how many times did I throw vegetables away? And why? Because that was the other thing that I understood from watching Dr. Westman, was that the meat/fat was the important part of the plate. The vegetables were the fun part. So what did I do? I was eating the meat first, and the vegetables were kind of accompanying the meat. But my goal was never to finish the meat first. My goal was never to finish the veg first. I always finish my meat first. And even if you look at how I eat today, I always finish my meat first. If I happen to finish my veg, terrific.
Yeah.
But you will notice that I never finish my veg first, ever.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
And you eat to satiation.
And
too.
yeah.
That's
So
the
like
thing.
if I end exactly.
If you're not hungry anymore, then you just like net carbs or total carbs. Like it doesn't really matter as long as you're under, like, if you want to be 100% sure, like sure you're in ketosis, you will do 20 total carbs, but you could be in ketosis 20 net carbs.
Of course.
So.
But the other thing I'm going to point out, and so here's where I think you're actually trying to take me.
No. But I'm just like, what's the right answer to that question? I'm just trying to.
So where I think you're trying to take me, what I think you want me to say is, if you are living a ketogenic lifestyle doing 20 net, first of all, if you're eating up to your 20 net and you're not losing weight, then chances are you're eating too much carb. That's like the first place I would look. So first thing I would do is verify. Am I actually eating 20 net? So I would verify. I would track every single thing that crosses my lips to be sure that I'm only eating 20 net. That's the first place I would start. If I'm eating 20 net, I'm going to look then at, am I overeating fat? Because that's the other problem I could be. If I'm adding fat to everything, adding fat to your meals is not part of the ketogenic lifestyle. Yeah. You don't need extra fat to do a ketogenic lifestyle. You just need to be under 20 grams of carbs. But I would double check. Am I maybe overeating my fat? Am I maybe overeating protein? Because if you're still eating carbohydrate, technically you can overeat protein. So I would double check those things. Although if I'm eating a normal serving of protein, example for Violet, if I'm eating anywhere between 5 and 7 ounces, that's a normal serving of protein for Violet. And, I'm 5'9". So if I'm eating a normal serving, everything is okay, then I'm going to start looking to say, okay, well, maybe my carb count is a little too high for me. I'm not losing. And by the way, a plateau means I haven't lost any weight in over a month and a half, right? If you're a week in, 2 weeks, that's not a plateau, right? A month and a half of not losing weight, okay, then you start to wonder, okay, what's going on, right? And maybe a month I might start checking, but under a month, your body could be doing any other positive process trying to help you to be healthier. So if I get to that stage and I've checked all my numbers, so that means I'm actually weighing my stuff, and that's the only time that I would actually want you to look at your protein count, look at your fat count, because usually it shouldn't matter. If I'm eating the fat that came along with the meat, I shouldn't technically be overeating fat. That's the only time I should actually look at it, because maybe you're eating 12-ounce steaks every night. You're going to have a hard time at that point, right? So if that's the case, then I would check. And maybe then I would take my... And would I automatically switch to total? Not necessarily.
Yeah.
If it was me, I probably would have done 15 net.
15 net instead.
Right? But I mean, you could just switch to total. It's up to you. But the reason, and this is just the way Violet's brain works, the reason I would just do 15 or 18 instead of doing total is because all the calculations that I had done and all the normals that I've created for myself over the last year and a half was based on net. Okay. And then I'd have to recalculate it. No, I would just go, okay, so now I'm eating 18.
Okay.
And I would just like put that much on my plate to make it 18. And if that still didn't help me to get back, I would do 15. And if that still didn't, then I would do it 12. Like that's what I would have done, just because that I wouldn't have to recalculate everything.
Okay. So net is a good measure. But either one is a good.
Both of them are
like,
good, but I'm gonna
like,
point out to you guys again. I'm like at 10 right now.
Yeah.
And I'm happily at 10. Some days I'm at 0 because I just don't eat any veg. Like, I think that we maybe just we want to. Sometimes we're looking for a reason why things aren't working, when the simpler answer is we're not actually doing what we're supposed to be doing, and we're looking for all kinds of excuses of why it's not working out the way that we thought it was going to work out. And that those 5 French fries that you took off your kid's plate,
Mm-hmm.
or that cookie that you said, oh, it's just one cookie, or it's usually those other things
That's for
that are
sure.
kicking you out of ketosis and you don't
Yeah.
realize, and then you're struggling.
Or for me was like the serving size, like the nuts that you think you have an ounce, but it's end up being 3 or 4, and
Okay.
yeah. So yeah, that's why, even though for sure, like at a certain point, like in your journey, you're comfortable with what you eat, with the sizes, but yeah, like I said, your brain like over time tends to make things bigger, and put a little bit more, and like so get back to measuring your stuff like once in a while. I
You
think
know,
it's a good.
when I tell people measure your food, a lot of the time you get that I've did that forever. But honestly, I don't even know if you guys really understand. 3 years later, still weigh stuff.
Hmm.
If I'm not sure, I weigh it.
Yeah.
And even for normal things, I make a coffee, and
With fat only?
every
Mhm.
single day,
Hmm.
I weigh the
It's true.
fat
It's
I
true.
put in it. I don't just eyeball it.
It's
I
true, people.
never eyeball it. I'm going to cut that butter. I'm going to put it in. I'm going to see what the number is, and I'm going to cut. And as a matter of fact, I'm this way. I cut smaller so that I can add more. Then I don't just start with a big piece and say, I hope that's 15. Nope. So, and I've been doing this for 3 years,
Yeah.
right? When I buy meat, and I check the pieces as I'm putting them in the bags to put them in the freezer to know that I have about what I think I have, so that when I go to cook it, I know already because I put it in the bag that way, right? I weigh my ground meat. I weigh it all. I put it in the freezer that way. Guys, this is your health you're talking about. If you can't take 5 minutes to put a plate on a scale and measure what you're putting in your plate, what you're saying is that your health isn't worth 5 minutes. I'll tell you, my health is worth 4 hours. That if it took me 4 hours to figure that out, I'd still do it. I would still do it because I want to be here tomorrow. So I don't understand how anybody's saying that to do this on a scale is too much work. Come on. If I could, I would bring a scale to the restaurant, but that would just look crazy.
Maybe a little bit.
But I would do it, honestly. If they ever make a little pocket scale for your purse, Violet is buying it. Because seriously, I don't understand what is the hesitation to make sure that you're not going over your carb count, except that you're looking for an excuse, right? Because it tastes fun. Everybody who really wants to do this, simple. Live a month carnivore. Just eat meat. You're going to get past these cravings. They're not going to be there anymore. And you're going to understand what I'm saying. Because he's sitting right there. And it's the reality that I do this. Because I like feeling good. And I lived it. I lived, how many months was that? But it was torture that I couldn't do what I'm doing right now. Sit on a chair. Can you imagine? I could not sit on a chair for more than 40 minutes at a time, even though I have to be with clients for 45. You know, I think sometimes, and that's just to add the stupidity to it, that's with all of the other inflammation that I had lived throughout my life that I had gotten used to. If I would have known that something as simple as stop eating the stupid sugar was going to save me all the pain that I was living, I would have done it years ago. And yes, if it would have taken me all day to know that I didn't eat, I would do it. So guys, you can do this. Wellness warriors, you can do this.
So
weigh your food.
Yeah. So that's a nice segue to one question we had in the comments from one of our viewer, just mentioning, so carbs are toxic. That's a new one. Where's the science to back that up? Yeah, carbs are toxic. And I think there's a lot of science to back that up. Like, as of now, just go watch Dr. Berg, Dr. Berry, Dr. Fung. Like, the science is there.
What's interesting to me asking that question is this. Why do we believe that there is a hormone that's main focus is as soon as we eat the sugar, pulling it out of our blood? And what happens when it doesn't get pulled out of our blood? Hello, diabetes, shock, that you go into a shock, a sugar coma. you're talking about if carbs are toxic. Of course they are.
Yeah.
Don't take my word for it. I say this all the time. Talk to your doctor. Don't take my word for it. You don't have to take my word for it. There's too much evidence to just take Violet's word for it.
And if you're interested into it, like just look for insulin resistance, like everything related to insulin. You are going to have your answers, definitely.
I always find a way to round me up.
Yeah, always. The simplest questions.
There's some videos on the screen right here that are going to help you guys to improve your health. I want to thank you for watching Mind Blowing Health and Wellness with Violet, Pat Chat Edition.
If you're new here, please like the video and subscribe.
Can't wait to talk to you guys again next week.
Talk to you next week.